Welcome to our off-season hitting program. Over the next few months, you're going to be going through the same training system that has placed hundreds of players in college baseball over the last 10 years. One thing to keep in mind is that some of the things that we talk about might be different than you've learned in the past, and all that we ask is that you keep an open mind because this is a process. Over the course of 14 weeks, we're going to break down different things, and it's going to build week to week until we reach our ultimate goal, which is to create the most athletic, fluid, and strong swing that we can. And we don't use the word mechanics very often because we work on athleticism. And we're going to build from week to week on different skill sets. So it's going to start out slow so that we can get a feel for what we're doing, and then over the course of the training program, we're going to speed it up so that our sequence stays smooth throughout the process. Week 1 is very important. We're going to start with what might be the most important aspect of hitting, and that's getting to an athletic position and being able to hold it throughout our swing. Now, there's a lot of different ways that we can get to that point, and that's what we'll talk about in week 2, but it's important that we get to a position called 50-50, meaning that our head is centered in the middle of our feet from the time that our front foot lands until the time that we finish our swing. And this is going to do 3 things for us. It's going to help keep our head stable so that we're able to pick up the ball better. It's going to allow our sequence to work more smoothly so we get more out of our body. And it's going to allow us to be in the most athletic position we can so that we can maximize all of our athletic movements and finish our swing with the biggest max effort that we can.
Take a look at some of the world's best hitters. You'll see that to be a good hitter, to be a great hitter, this is absolutely important that we hold this position throughout the finish of our swing. And it applies to all levels, good high school hitters, good college hitters, and even some of the world's best softball players. All do this in order to make sure that they get the most out of their swing and they put consistent results on the field. This week we're breaking down Buster Posey. As you'll see through the clips, his head stays centered in his feet throughout his entire swing, allowing his lower body to start the process, to create separation through the middle of his swing, and for his hands to stay through the hitting zone until he finishes. Demonstrating for us this week is Jack Suwinski. 2 years ago, Jack was drafted in the 15th round out of high school by the San Diego Padres. Jack's been training at play ball since he was 10 years old and was a member of the Illinois Indians from 10U all the way through 18U. You'll see in the next few clips, just like Buster Posey, once Jack gets his front foot down, his head stays centered and his entire body is going to work around his hands. Jack was drafted because of his power bat and does a great job of getting everything out of his body. Our first drill this week utilizes a balance beam. Notice the blue cone at the center of the beam. We're going to work on setting up our feet so our head is 50-50 directly over the cone, and we're going to go no stride for this drill. We're just going to work on setting up our body in an athletic position, letting our lower half start the process, and finishing our swing with our head staying over 50-50. Notice Jack checks his head to see where he's at in relation to the cone. In the first drill, he finishes with his head above the cone. Then he resets, goes through his full swing, and does his best to stay 50-50 over the cone. Our second drill this week utilizes a set of plyo platforms. I like to call these our training wheels until we get used to staying 50-50 because we can use the ramps as leverage to keep our body centered. Once again, we're going to use the blue cone as a marker for our head. We're going to set our feet in the centers of the ramps. One thing to note here is that we want the tee set up out in front of the center of the platform so we're used to hitting the ball out in front of our feet. Here you'll see Jack centered up in the middle, head over the cone, and his lower half starts the process so he's able to control his head and keep it centered through his finish. The second part of this drill takes away the platforms, and we use cones so we don't have the training wheels to help us finish.
Alright, but enough talking. Let's get to work. Trust the process, and remember our main theme this offseason is intent. Every swing, every rep, every throw that we take needs to have a purpose. If we keep our main goal in mind with every rep that we take, we're going to hit milestones faster, and we're going to ultimately achieve our final goal of putting together a more athletic swing. Let's get after it.